Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm Molly Monette, and I'm the Brand Engagement Manager here at AutoLeadStar. I'm really happy you all could join in and we could make time today to connect, especially during this really strange and difficult time. Since I assume many of you are working from home, I'll just take a couple of minutes to let you get your computer set up, finish any last minute tasks, and really just wait for those who are still getting on and signing on. Okay, great. It looks like the majority has made their way to the webinar, and I don't see any additional attendees in the last about 30 seconds, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, as I said before, my name is Molly. I'm the Brand Engagement Manager here at AutoLeadStar, and I wanted to really utilize this time where the majority of the workforce, I know myself and my team, are all working from home. I know it can be a real struggle and honestly a mental game day in and day out, not having our usual routines. But I'm hoping this webinar will be a refreshing time where you can really learn some techniques and ways to hunker down, get scrappy, and try and leverage these available tools for your independent dealership in order to push through these next couple weeks and months and really come out on the other end stronger than ever before. So, hopefully, let's ease the stress and worry that you're feeling during this somewhat helpless time and really pivotal moment in history. So, we'll cover an array of topics during this webinar, but most importantly, what I'd really like to provide independent dealers is the comfort of knowing there are plenty of ways to stay on top of your dealership marketing momentum right now and give you actionable tools to take home by the end of this webinar. So at AutoLeadStar, we truly live and breathe automation and understand just how important it is to leverage automation for independent dealers so they can compete at the highest level, especially during this crisis mode, even without any co-op support. And as we've quickly seen, as you can see on the screen, it's not just automotive. I mean, industries everywhere across the board are learning that one solution remains absolutely essential, and that is technology. It just connects us through video, shared work plans, our messaging platforms. And as you see here, Zoom happens to be one of the most popular video conferencing platforms, and its stock has even risen more than 8% and is up 85% already this year alone. And I know companies worldwide, have really realized overnight just how necessary this tool would become for their livelihood and their work from home routines. So the good news is that automated digital marketing has this same power because it turns your marketing machine into a technology-based engine. So it works around the clock, no matter the crisis, and it streamlines complex tasks that maybe might take your employees hours per day and takes out the hassle of human busy work, giving your shortened staff more time for the important work. And even the quirks of today's technology has officially made it into my presentation featuring my wonderful Bitmoji that I took many, many hours of time to work on to look exactly like me. So if you're like my Bitmoji, you're probably wondering what automation really means. I mean, we hear this term getting thrown around a lot across many industries, and if you really break it down, it's quite simple. So, automation streamlines simple tasks and takes the place of, let's say, manual or human busy work, but it does this at massive, massive scale. And believe it or not, we really do use automation quite often in our everyday lives. if you think about having to say goodbye to your automation, I mean, for me personally, it's really, really hard to fathom. If you haven't thought about just how much automation you're using in your everyday life, I'm here to help you paint that picture. So let's cover the icons from left to right because I put specific examples on in the presentation so you can see and paint a picture of exactly what I'm talking about. So first you throw in the laundry and set the timer. That's automation. Then your automatic bill pay goes through online. Then your Roomba starts its daily cleaning or, whatever automated maybe machine that helps you throughout your day. Then you receive your daily email subscriptions, the news, or whatever hobby that you're interested in, or anything that, of course, you've signed up for. And then your AC turns on because it's getting a bit warmer now and it realizes that you've set the temperature to a specific degree that you like in your household. So if you think about it, as you can see, it's almost impossible not to use automation these days. From that automatic bill pay to waking up to a hot pot of coffee to enjoying the AC in our homes, these are all common automated processes that have already been around for years. And with the current quarantine procedures, most of us are utilizing many of these processes pretty much almost every hour. I know I am personally. But if these processes have really been around for years, then, this is when I start questioning really why aren't they being embraced just as much within automotive in 2020? It also just goes without saying that using automation just should not stop at automotive, period. Especially considering the types of tasks, everyday tasks that dealers face in the workplace, it really just makes sense to also utilize this efficient solution. And Corona, I think, has really opened our eyes to different work styles and forces us to really embrace change. So, in a positive sense, with limited resources and few ways to turn, automotive honestly will just really have no choice but to capitalize on a tool that could change the future of their business forever for the better. So, here's the types of challenges that our team has seen come up time and time again in our weekly calls with independent dealers. So, the first is audience building. Now, you most likely work with a ton of different lists in order to target your specific audiences, and it's a ton of work to connect these lists. So, for example, you go into your CRM, you pull any specific car shopper, maybe Ford Focus customers in the last 6 months, and then you try and utilize the most segmented data that your CRM can actually pull in order to prioritize and categorize campaigns. And then you're going to download this as a CSV and look for customers who you know have already bought from them and exclude those exact customers from the list so they aren't sending you irrelevant emails. So we hear that, and we see, we understand that you really might do these tasks on a daily basis and that this kind of task and kind of project can take a dealership over 10 hours a week, if not more, where they could and should really be devoting that kind of time towards much more valuable activities. So the second is siloed data. These CRMs don't have the ability to pull as detailed lists as we'd like with the amount of data that we'd like. And the CRM just isn't tracking what's going on the website, and instead it really only knows what you manually enter into it. So this means we're missing an abundance of data sets and ways to more specifically target people. And many times dealers are just unable to react to something in real time. So in between the time you download your list and segment it out, so much can happen, and that siloed data can just ends up being unreliable and a real, I would say, headache at the end of the day. The third is that we will cover is limited budget. So without that extra stipend from OEMs or support of the manufacturer, having that opportunity to be part of a co-op, especially in these times of crisis, we do know how important it is to make sure those dollars are being capitalized on. Not utilizing automation as an indie dealer will really can be challenging because if you're not optimizing and automating budgets specifically, then you could be losing that opportunity. And fourth and finally is manual data reports. Pulling reports manually has a number of challenges. First, it just takes up way too much time. And the reports are, again, most likely static, meaning they aren't downloaded or uploaded in real time. And without access to this updated data, this constantly dynamic data, your month over months or your time periods won't be accurate. So this leads to a lack of transparency that could instead help you become a more data-driven company and overall just make smarter decisions for those better results. Okay, so enough about frustrations and challenges. Let's start talking about ways to solve these hurdles and obstacles. So I want you to visualize yourself in your job currently with the limited resources that you're given, just as this man that I have put so effortlessly on the screen, this image, let's call him Paul, is doing here. So Paul typically goes into his independent dealership every day using similar tools and routines, hoping for that next successful month. But of course, now Paul sees a lot of himself working from home, looking in the mirror, figuring out how to capitalize on what he's given. He's never used automation, but today he's seeing what his life could be like if he did. And let's just pretend this is what he sees. He sees an opportunity to automate ads. He sees an opportunity to automate budget. And he sees an opportunity to automate his customer engagement. So we're really all turning to the internet for answers now more than ever. We're browsing consistently online just more and more every day. And whether it's for some Netflix distraction or coffee dates on Zoom, we're really reliant on this in such a time of crisis. And automating your paid search gives you access to leverage all kinds of keywords, keyword combinations, dynamic inventory ads, and just so much more. For example, if a shopper down the road from your dealership searches for a car in your lot that's been sitting there for 8 months, but wants that safety and assurance that they can purchase from their own home, the safety of their own home, your dealership should and could own that search. And the automation targeting capabilities really just surpasses any manual campaign setup. And even more importantly, you may be creating lots of short tail keywords. That just means keywords that are 3 words or less. And you're doing this to make sure you're always changing inventory is out there. But long tail keywords can bring you way more leads and qualified shoppers. And even just the other day, as an update, our data scientists had recently pulled top keywords that are bracing the internet from in-market shoppers. While buy car stats were low, we actually saw that buy car now and buy car now coronavirus had peak numbers over the past few days. This really means that people truly just want to know if this is even a possibility, if buying a car is even a possibility during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that makes sense. So we want to make sure you have the best keywords out there that are being updated in real time. And the good news is that automation does just that. So it optimizes and updates in real time, and it can do everything on a functional level that an account manager really could do. It can open accounts, it can create ads, it can generate keywords, of course, create hundreds of templates ready to use, and optimize ads based on important data signals. And because automation is, run by a machine, it's always getting faster and smarter. So automation cannot only do all of this better than humans, truly better than humans, but more importantly, it can also compete at massive scale, as I said before, and massive scale in real time. So it's working even when we're sleeping. I mean, this thing works 24/7. And we know this is especially important for independent dealerships because of just how often your pre-owned and used cars are changing within your lot. So it's really, really imperative to keep your ads updated. Okay, now with budget, we've noticed that allocating budget to optimize for highest leads and sales will become a game changer for many dealers during these upcoming months. I mean, of course, if you're getting pressure to cut budget or reduce cost, ROI will be essential. But if your budget isn't strategic, I mean, that can be scary because you may leave money on the table and you might miss a great opportunity. I like giving the example of, say, you're maybe currently manually allocating 20% ad budget to social and 80% to search and display, but, you know, it's time to ask yourself, is this the best breakdown? What if 1 month of Google is bringing more leads than social, and the next month social brings more leads than Google? If you're manually allocating budget, you may miss this and allocate budget as is, obviously, since you don't catch the optimization. But if it's automating, you're constantly putting the money where it matters and in what's performing best. So instead of paying more money for something that's working with an already limited budget, here's your perfect opportunity to invest those same dollars into your thriving campaigns, whether it be search display or social. And this way, you're truly taking advantage of your marketing dollars and you're just never missing an opportunity to engage. And speaking of engagement, there's tons of ways to engage with shoppers. In the most personal sense, I'd say it's obviously your customer engagement. And as social distancing increases, so will this shift in consumer behavior. Even during crisis mode, shoppers will really likely have continued having that same expectation of customer support as before. And I would say, just as before, if not more. With your limited staff, your BDC might be overwhelmed as they take on, any online sales support and follow up, or maybe you won't be able to rely on that hefty BDC at all for right now. But we know that with automation, a robot, like a chatbot on your website that's sitting there, for example, that chatbot can manage all your shoppers' conversations. That means zero wait time, swift engagement, and that no sleep 24/7 support. And we also understand that as an independent dealer, you can't just take advantage of the manufacturer brand and call it a day, which makes it really, really imperative to have that great branding where shoppers know your name, they respect your name and are always recommending your name, which means your on and off site retargeting needs to be one of your most powerful tools in your wheelhouse. So with automation, you can have that strong presence of your brand on and offline at all hours. So when Amy is searching for a specific VDP on your site and then she goes onto Facebook, it becomes a game changer when you're able to target Amy saying, "Hey Amy, are you still interested in this vehicle?" And boom, you immediately win that brand recognition, which is such a game changer and really important in the long run. So being able to respond to this dynamic market and giving customers what they want is just absolutely a critical piece of the funnel and essential during just these ever-changing, confusing, difficult times. So we like to say just, try and stop the legwork, take on automation, and let automation just take care of this for you. Because now is the time to capitalize on these automated tools so you're never, never missing an opportunity again. All right, so as we wrap up here, I know I've spoken a lot, but I'd like to sum up the key points on why taking advantage of this automated solution for your independent dealership will be a huge, huge win for you, especially during this COVID-19 crisis. So first and foremost, no more manual. When we think of what agencies do behind the scenes, of course our brains immediately imagine manual labor and time lag and phone calls back and forth. But with automation, we can happily say that this all goes away. So if a price changes on your website, It will change in minutes on your ad. There's no need for phone calls or manual labor, and this avoids current confused in-market shoppers looking for answers that aren't being reflected on your offers or website. So automation takes care of your keyword campaigns and mail lists, so your sparse staff really just doesn't have to. The second is efficient staff. So during crisis mode, start using your strongest team players and staff for tasks that really matter, because automation takes care of the everyday manual, tedious labor working 24/7, and instead finally just gives your employees the time and energy they need to focus on what they do best. And last but not least is data-driven decisions and actually using your data. So with all your data now in one place, data-driven decisions no longer just mean guesstimating where your marketing dollars should go, but really trusting automation and machine learning to bring your dealership to life in ways that a human just simply cannot. And relying on accurate data may honestly be the only option when there's no room for loss. It's the best way to turn and ends up being the only way to turn. So once our guy Paul here, don't think I forgot about him, leveraged what automation had to offer, his routine just changed drastically. He had more dollars to invest in smarter places, more transparency, data-driven decisions, and less manual work, which all led to recurring positive ROI and a very much so reassured Paul. Plain and simple, automation is the future. If you have access to a powerful, intelligent engine running everything from bid strategy to ad creation to updates, I truly think that you will see tremendous improvements in performance. And taking advantage of the most cutting edge solutions just will give you an opportunity to keep your momentum, your marketing momentum during this crisis for 2020 and for the future. Of course, coming out stronger on the other side and better than ever. All right, guys, thank you all so much for joining. I know it's been a really challenging and tough time, and I hope this was a good time for you to reflect and take some actionable tools and solutions for you during this time. But before we sign off here, I'm going to answer some questions I do see that have popped up in the queue. So let me take a look. Okay, so someone asked, how affordable is an automated machine like this? This is a great question. There's different solutions on the market that we've seen, of course, including Autolead Star's Acquire, our own solution. They all vary, but for us specifically, it will depend heavily on your inventory, since that's directly related to maintaining the product, number of templates, offers, etc. But I'm sure other vendors are providing nice packages for COVID-19 affected dealers, and so are we. So feel free to talk to me after about specifics. The idea is that this should be affordable and presented as SaaS and not, a percentage of your spend like most other agencies. Great question. Thank you. Another question I see is, how long does it take to implement? Okay, so we get this question quite often. It's actually super fast to implement, and it really just takes a couple of minutes, believe it or not, to set up and just fully unleash. And then the automation will learn your website traffic, understand which templates and campaigns are working the best, and then fully optimize as time goes on. It becomes smarter and smarter as time goes on, and it learns your website's behavior and figures out what works best for your website. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for your questions, guys, and attention during this. If I didn't get to your question, or if you'd like to get in touch with us, please feel free to send an email directly to me or get.started@autoleadstar.com on the screen. Or, of course, as always, give us a call. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. I hope you all have a really good day.